Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us again. Dr. Brown here interviewing another one of my students who's either part of my MBA program or the undergraduate business program. Okay, Alexander Stevenson, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you today?
Good. Glad you're able to come out in today. He's going to give an introduction. He's going to tell us a little bit about his background, where he's from, and why he is getting his degree in business. Before we do that, I want everybody to take a pause, okay? I want you to stop right now and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get 100,000 subs ASAP as soon as possible, but I need your support. Okay. Alexander, why are you, first give a little quick introduction, okay? Tell us a bit about yourself and what brings you all the way from your hometown here to Okinawa.
Sure thing. So my name is Alex Stevenson, of course. I come from the eastern shore of the United States in Maryland, next to Ocean City for anyone who stays out in that area. From there, it's a small farming town, not much to do. So I joined the military to get out and get away. And the military sent me here to Okinawa, Japan. Coming here, I met a young lady off base. We got married. I got out of the military, and I came out here and started working for a Japanese company for several years. I worked there for a while. I attended college here, where I met yourself, of course, pursuing a degree in a few different things, but business being the main one. And now I'm working not for a Japanese company, but for an American company out here, associated with the military, back on base, dealing with all the Marines and having fun.
Before we jump so strong into our episode, I want you to realize something. We are wearing not a traditional shirt and tie, okay? However, what we are wearing is Okinawan formal wear. Consider formal wear for Okinawan business attire. It's called a kariyushi. This shirt is called a kariyushi. Let me break this down. Kari, okay, is happiness. Yushi, which means to come near. So basically, this is an invitation, like happiness, come near. Okay, and by wearing the shirt, the overall phrase is that good fortune will come to you. Research it, check it out for yourself. So we're seeking good fortune here today. So, Alex, you left a small town, okay, in Maryland, and now you're here in Okinawa.
Yes.
Now, you did it via the fact of military, but you're also saying that the fact that it did take you abroad, did you have a chance to travel to a lot of countries and see the world?
Not with the Marine Corps, but definitely with the company I joined after I did.
So, okay, then so you joined the company after, so
yes.
You transitioned into the corporate route, or I should say to the business private sector. What do you do now?
Right now, I work IT support for a different business on the basis.
Okay, so you're doing IT support as an independent contractor?
No, as an actual NAF employee with the companies.
Okay, great. So why education? And because you're in the field of IT, right? So for many people, as you know, and for those who don't know, let me ask you the question, is IT more based on 4 years, such as a degree, or based on certifications?
You can definitely do IT with a degree, say in computer science is the big one a lot of people get, but what's going to land everybody the interview and definitely get your foot in the door with companies is the certifications, hands down.
You are obviously doing both.
Yes.
Why?
Because if I have both, especially the business degree and the certifications, then I can follow my path up and be the CIO of a major tech company, maybe Google or Amazon perhaps.
Does everybody know, what is CIO? What does that mean?
The CIO is the Chief Intelligence Officer, and they are responsible mainly for all the IT that happens within the company. So they might be responsible for making sure that company secrets aren't being leaked out through emails, making sure that people have their emails, that their cards let them getting to the buildings, that the CCTV cameras are set up, the local networks and servers and everything are all working. They're the big man in charge of all that, overseeing it at the corporate level, the executive level.
And you feel that earning that business degree will assist you in that occupation, in that title?
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this then. So far in your navigation through the program, obviously you've taken my class. What was your impression of the class and with the program itself? How is it aiding you on a day-to-day? Learning the business concepts, right? Which happens to be with a lot of, let's say, philosophy. It happens to deal with a lot of case studies. but you're in a industry that deals more with data. It's more data driven. So you're actually bridging the gap from the business side or that business framework into the IT. So describe how business is assisting you with that.
Well, especially with the company that I work for, because they are a government company, anytime they want to do, say, purchasing, if we need to get new equipment for anything, they have to open up for bidding from multiple vendors, which is something I didn't see working in the private business sector in Japan. It was a small company, but having gone through the classes and seeing it firsthand happen where I'm at now, it makes a lot more sense and I can tie it together. So when I'm working with other employees at different parts of the company who want the services that we're trying to give them, but we can't because we haven't gotten enough bids on the contract, or trying to explain it to my coworkers who don't understand why we're still waiting on a piece of gear that they could buy on Amazon today, I can actually explain to them what's going on at corporate, how they're working everything through the purchasing department, and how that has to go up through our CIO over to the individual in charge of the finances, the chief financial officer, CFO. It has to be approved by the CEO or even the board of directors, depending on how big of a purchase that we're making and what we're going to do with it. And knowing how all these different components work together and all these different offices work together really helps me to stay on top of things and just not get stressed out by the problems that we're facing.
Absolutely. So let's say you are now this ICO of the company, okay? Give yourself, you may choose this card later, but let's talk about how this looks in a timeline scale. Do you see this happening in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? How long do you see?
To become a CIO, unless I wanted to do my own startup or join a startup and just become the CIO, which I had the option to do actually, and I started to pursue it, but we can get into that a little bit later. I think there's a card that might address it, what I chose instead and why. For that, there's certain skills that I believe you need to have. You need to definitely know the inner workings of the business that you're going to be involved with and who you're going to need to talk to, how you're going to need to talk to them, and what you're going to need to talk to them about. But you're also going to have to understand the technical aspect of it as well. So if someone comes and says, I need a fancy Skype machine so that I can do video calls with people over in Afghanistan for whatever reason, or Saudi Arabia, which is a little more realistic over there in Dubai, then you're going to need to understand the network limitations and what it's going to take to do that from the technical side where I'm at now, as well as who you're going to have to talk to, what they're going to need to be talking about, whether it needs to be secured, encrypted channel so listeners can't snoop in on it like some countries like to do, and what type of hardware you're going to want, time zone differences, who to coordinate with. It blossoms out very quickly when you try to bridge that gap.
So everybody, listen, what we're talking about here is bridging the gap between the business concepts, okay? Things that you're going to learn when you're getting your undergraduate degree in business or you're getting your MBA, right? But now you're saying I'm going more towards the scientific or the analytical side of IT. IT deals with the things that relate to STEM. I've talked about STEM before, right? Science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So these are more concrete things. Philosophy is not necessarily a part of that. You're able to bridge that gap because you see that it's necessary for both to go hand in hand. You're pretty determined now, but through our conversations, I realized that you weren't always guided in the way, or you weren't always as having the mindset that you have now that this is what I'm going to do, right? You were telling me a little bit about in high school that there was a time when you felt education wasn't for you.
Yes, that's true.
So why is that?
I don't want to put the blame on a guidance counselor I had in middle school. That seems unfair to him. I'm sure he had his own reasons for saying or things the way he did, but I was told the high school I attended, a great high school out there, they had something called the Career Technology Education Department. If anyone's familiar with Skills USA, we attended it frequently. So in that department, they teach trade skills. Law enforcement was considered a trade skill. Plumbing, IT, like I'm doing right now, and electronics engineering, which is kind of surprising to be considered a trade skill, but out there at least it was, among several other things, including nursing and child care, I believe. So in the way I heard it from the guidance counselor there in 8th grade, middle school, getting ready to move into high school, a little scared, maybe 14 years old, was for those of you not inclined to follow the collegiate route, or maybe can't afford to go to college, this is your alternative, and it'll probably work out better for you.
Okay. Yeah, right. And I mean, that story can be told by numerous students and numerous people watching this. Reasons that education is not for you. And we're focusing on education here. So these episodes we're focusing on students who are actually in the program as we speak, or they have graduated, okay? So you made that decision. Your mindset now is that I'm going to do this because you have preset goals and you're determined that this is what I'm going to do. Were there any reasons that you're making this decision to do it now as opposed to not doing it before? Why now?
Why now? Because I finally realized that education is the basis for just about anything you want in life. Well, let me rephrase that. Success is founded in education, or at least information, which you can only gather through education, whether it be through formal classes like we have here at the college, or watching YouTube videos online. That's another great way to get it. Wikipedia, of course. There's a lot of resources out there, especially with the internet being what it is. Almost anything you could ever want to know in the world is there freely available to you. So if there's something you want to know and you don't know, it's kind of your fault.
So what I'm hearing is you have to remove excuses, okay? If you're watching this, doesn't matter your age, right? Some of my students are in their teens. They haven't even become 20 years old yet. They're 17, 18, 19. I have some students who are in their 60s, okay? But they're making that decision. Remove that doubt, remove the excuse, and go for it, whatever that might be. Alex, what we're going to do now is we're going to use this bag of mine. I always read the name, and it says, take good care of places, enjoy the moment, always friendly, adventure begins, okay? So it's kind of like going down that rabbit hole, okay? The red pill, the blue pill. In this case, you're going to choose a card, read the card, and give your best shot at answering these questions.
Okay, sure. I'm going to turn it this way or I can't see what they say.
Sure.
There's a pretty yellow card. What do your daily habits add up to? I really was hoping I wouldn't draw this card. My daily habits honestly include, I'm on my phone a lot, but I'm not playing games or messaging people. Usually I'm checking the news since I have my Google Assistant set to feed me news on what's going on in tech business particularly, or with the stock market, new innovations in open source technology. So I spend a lot of time reading the news or studying for certifications. And I do that anytime I have free time where I'm just sitting around with nothing else to do. That's like my big daily habit.
So it's really like what I'm hearing is your daily habits end up to always seeking information.
Always.
Always seeking information and staying abreast, staying on top of things, current events to financial matters. We've talked a lot about cryptocurrencies in our dialogue, so we're going to save that because that goes into a whole other category. But you're staying on top of things that they're developing.
Yes.
Okay, good. Let's go for another one.
All right, let's do it. So this one right here. Don't need that again. I'll have a little luck with the purple one. What steps are you taking to achieve your personal goals? I'm not going to name drop, but there's a book that I read that gave a few different steps you could take to improve your life. And one of them was what we already talked about, funny enough, is stop making excuses. You have to be the master of your own life, so you can't make excuses for why you're not doing something, why you can't do something. The only way you could know if you can or can't is if you step out there and try. Kind of as I think it was Yoda that said that, there is no try, there's only do or do not. Right?
He's not going to name drop the book. I mean, several books just popped into my head. I won't go there either. But I will say this. The Richest Man in Babylon, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Those are some key books because it's explained very simple. Okay? It's not difficult language. It's easy English. But yet, the points will add value to your life. Okay? So give these things some thought. Next.
All right. I was screaming back here. Which do you prefer? This is the one I was referencing earlier. Security with a job or the independence of an entrepreneur? So I mentioned I had the chance to be the CIO of a startup company out here in Japan. I was close friends with the woman who is the CEO of that company, and it was my former CEO that was bankrolling it and would have been the sole member of the board of directors for the company. But the issue I was having is I still have, my point in life right now, where I'm at, I have 3 little kids and a wife, and I'm the primary breadwinner, if you want to put it that way. I bring home the majority of the income. So I could either continue working in this IT field, which isn't going to make me a millionaire unless I'm one of the names that everybody knows around the world, but it definitely pays the bills, it keeps the roof over our head, and keeps food in our bellies. Or I could take that risk and step out and not know what's going to happen next and not have that safety blanket.
So let's go to, you mean you had opportunity to be the CEO. So somebody was saying, were you nominated? Did this person say, hey, listen, I would like for you to take over this company?
Yes, exactly.
And did this, obviously, did she put a financial value to say, listen, this is what you're going to be making, or this is a complete startup where we're starting from zero? Don't expect any money right away, but through our efforts, it might give us this result.
It was starting not exactly at zero. There was already a contract that was being signed as we were talking, and it had a dollar value on it. So I had a rough idea of what my income would be, but the majority of my income after the first 2 years would have been based off of profits, company profits. It would have been a pass-through. What was that called exactly? But it's something like pass-through profit sharing.
Okay, so would it have been more commission-based off of sales-driven?
We talked about that option as well, but no, mostly it would have been whatever the actual net profits of the company were would be passed, a certain percentage would be passed back to the CEO and the CIO.
Yeah, this is an interesting point because for a lot of people, they're in the same situation where they want to break and go to that entrepreneurial route, but yet restrictions, right? They may have families. They may have financial responsibilities, okay? That's a tough one because it might sound good to say, okay, I'm just going to leave and drop everything and start my company, start this startup and go for it. I'm going to fulfill this dream. Let's look at the reality, okay? You got to play a serious balancing act, especially when it's not just you. When it's not just you. Hindsight, do you feel that was a good move?
Hindsight, having spoken with the CEO of that company now and what she's doing, I wish I had gone ahead and moved.
Oh, so it's advancing.
It's not necessarily that it's advancing, it's just I never thought about the possibility of being the CIO of this company, but also going ahead and working a regular job like I'm doing right now.
So you could have done both?
She's doing both.
She's doing both?
She's doing both, yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it works, especially because there's only a small number of customers at the moment, especially because it's supposed to be a tech company and they don't have a CIO at the moment to drive the development that we had planned and had written out in the draft.
Let me ask you this. Is it possibly not as a CIO, but is there an opportunity for you to get back into this company, to work with her? Or do you work with her?
There is an opportunity to get back in, yes.
Is that something you're considering, or?
It's definitely floated around in my mind a little bit, but right now I'm trying to sit back, get my degree finished first.
Yeah.
Get a few other life things sorted before I try to step back out into that.
Listen, that opportunity may have passed. He's saying that hindsight, what can you do about it now? But nevertheless, his sight is still on that ICO position, okay? So very good, you're not giving up on that. As much as I say, get this degree to go get employed, listen, some of you have wonderful ideas. I'm hoping to inspire the next big somebody, to be quite honest with you. In my classrooms, whether it's the MBA program or the undergraduate, I'm hoping that somebody says, hey, Dr. Brown, this is an idea that I have. How can I take this to the next level, okay? The same is with you. You have these ideas, map them out, okay? We can't read what's going on up here, and sometimes the great ideas that you have, if you don't write it down, the next day, guess what? You forgot. So it's always good to keep a memo next to you. The technology is literally in our fingertips. So remove the excuses, right?
Yes.
Remove the excuses and go for it. Let's choose another one.
Okay. And here we go. How will you know when you are successful? Well, I guess I have to define my version of success first. For me to be successful, it wouldn't just be becoming a CIO. So I could probably still go back and become the CIO of that company, but that wouldn't make me successful. It'd just be me gaining a job title versus an actual position that I want to be, or maybe it's financial that I'm looking for. But for me to be successful, especially with the route I'm going, being the CIO, think a successful CIO. For me to be a successful CIO, I would have to be in the position where I am making technology-related decisions that are keeping the company ahead of the curve and doing them at the level where people are coming to me for help and questions, or coming to me for answers instead of me having to go to them for answers.
So you mentioned about the point of success, defining that success. So for you, when you say CIO, is it more personal to say, listen, I want to be CIO because I want to be in charge? I don't like receiving orders. I like giving orders. I don't like receiving orders. That's very realistic for a lot of people, okay? Is it financial? Is it a combination between I feel competent, that I know what I'm doing enough, that I could have a title that says I am CIO, I am the president, I am XYZ. Is that a component, plus in addition the financial rewards that come with that title? Or what is it? What is it that gives you the need to say, I want to be CIO?
Well, I still want to work in the IT, of course, but like I mentioned before, the companies I pointed out, like Google and Amazon, those are the companies that are leading technology development today. They're the ones that are making the big decisions, making the big changes, like Google buying up GitHub, or buying up or working with Linux and starting to move towards open source technology. Those are huge, huge ground-shaking movements that are happening right now. And to be a CIO of a company like that, where the decisions I'm making are shaping the future of technology for the world, that's success.
So you feel confident and comfortable to say, I want to be CIO because I know what I'm doing enough that I don't have to take orders from anybody else.
Exactly.
Basically.
I want to help guide and steer the future of technology.
Got it. Got it. Okay, good. Let's try another.
All right. Bam. Job title advancement. I think we covered that one. All right, so for me, job title advancement isn't as important as what I'm actually doing. Like I said, it's no point being a CIO of a small company where my only responsibility is making sure that the employees have an email address. That doesn't mean anything to me. So while job title advancement is nice, and definitely being able to put that on a business card when you meet other people, when we start talking about business again, moving back into the theme here, when you have that on your business card, it looks really great. That's why I still have my business cards from that moment. But it's only going to help so much, especially if you're trying to land any business deals, throwing a title around. Once people start looking up the company, which they're all going to do, they're going to find out the truth of the matter. So I think more than job title advancement, what I'm actually doing is important to me.
Results.
Yeah.
A lot of people will put on a business card, I'm president, I'm CEO. It's good. And listen, I believe in self-esteem, and you need to have what's called a positive sense of self-efficacy. That belief in yourself based on several ideas, okay? And that's good. But that may not always give you the results. You still got to put in the work. If you hold that title and you actually want to create something on a larger scale where you have multiple people underneath you, then results is pretty much, again, what's going to put food on people's table. What I'm talking about is generating income. Okay, another one.
All right. What are your personal strengths and weaknesses? I can read and study very well, but I don't like taking the time to do it.
What do you call that?
Okay. Laziness, avoidance are two words I like to use. That's really what it boils down to. And it only applies, because I've already mentioned, there are certain things that I study and read about a lot. And that's where the strengths come from. But then there's other things I'm not interested in, but I have to be at least for a short period of time, maybe 6 to 8 weeks. They always get me.
What are you doing to overcome those weaknesses? When you identify that, how do you overcome that?
I have to change the way I think about it. It's what I've found that actually works for me. So a lot of the time I'll think, for instance, oh, I have this that I need to do. I really don't want to do it. I think I'll do something that I prefer to do. It could be something I need to do too, but something I prefer to do, and just put that on the back burner and get around to it. And I keep putting it on the back burner, until the back burner's out of gas and now it's too late. So what I had to start doing instead is wrapping my mind around the concept from the book I'm not going to name drop, where the only way to move forward in life, or the best way to move forward in life, the best advised way, is to take the chaos that is life and try to distill it down into something that is structured and ordered and makes sense. So I look at it as chaos, just something that's unstructured, unordered, like say college. It's a paper that I have to write that I don't want to write. Well, the paper exists in potentia. It's just chaos right now. It's not been actually gathered and filtered and distilled and turned into the written work that needs to be presented to the teacher. So when I approach it as something chaotic, a problem that needs to be solved versus something that needs to be done, I suddenly find motivation to get it done.
Let me ask you this, especially in IT, are you an individual that, hey, give me my space, I'm good at just working alone. I don't need a lot of communication. This is closer to being on the introverted side, but I can problem solve, just show me what I need to do and pretty much let me be. Or are you more of you have some of that, obviously IT kind of requires that, but are you also, to say I'm the extrovert that says, listen, I like groupthink. I like to be able to communicate with others. I like to interact with others. I like to pitch my ideas and to get some response back, call and response going on. Where do you see yourself?
Well, until recently I was on the introverted side where I didn't really like working with people or talking to people about things. And I still have that from time to time, especially when I go up to, say, the executive offices to fix something for them or one of the other important places. But when it comes to actually doing my job, while I'm comfortable and capable of working alone, I really like having somebody I can bounce ideas off of or show something new to or learn something new from. So I'm always popping in and out of my boss's office, and I'm sure it drives him nuts with new questions about something I don't know. But.
Okay, good. Okay, choose another card.
Okay. Let's see what we got here. Do you accept a probability that the end result of your life will equal stress, sickness, and exhaustion? That's already my life. I don't exactly expect it, but I'm definitely comfortable with the idea that that's what waits in store for me.
I want you to read that question again, just so that everybody watching can be very clear what the question asked and his response. Okay? What does that question say?
I'm going to read it verbatim and then interpret it again.
Sure.
So, do you accept a probability that the end result of your life will equal stress, sickness, and exhaustion? So when I read that, those three words amount to, the first one that pops in my head when I see those three words is failure. Am I ready to accept the possibility that I'm not going to meet my goals and that instead I might be at a point in my life where I have to keep working past the age of 70 just to continue maintaining a certain lifestyle, or maybe everything that I've done all the way up to that point has just worn me and my body down so bad and so poorly that I'm in bad shape and I'm exhausted, especially if you look at some of the higher ranking executives or members of boards of directors, you'll notice that they age almost like presidents. So we all saw George W. Bush or Barack Obama, how they showed up young, looking vitalized and energized, and left gray-haired, looking worn out and exhausted. Being the CEO of a country is a lot more difficult than the CEO of a company, but they both wear on you regardless.
Right. So, you accept that fact, that's a possibility. So specifically it says a probability, right? But that's obviously not your goal.
No, not the goal at all. It just might be a byproduct of reaching that goal. If it could be a byproduct, it's not saying that it will be either, because there's a lot of very healthy CEOs out there as well.
And the fact that that is a probability, you're still saying I'm going to go for it.
Oh, absolutely, it's worth it.
So the mindset, you see the mindset that even though I accept the probability that it may not turn out like I want, and to be quite honest, to say that I have goals that are set such at a high level, CEO, CIO, CFO, okay, depends on the size of the company as well, but nevertheless, okay, many people have goals. You may not reach them, but he's saying that regardless. Inside of me says that I'd rather go for it than not go for it, even if the result doesn't turn out like I want, even if it leads me down this path. I live my life in a way that I decided to go for it. So the question for you is, how do you feel about that? Is that something that you're willing to risk? Put it all out there? That's a question that you have to answer. Let's choose a couple more.
Sure. Let's see. Increased common sense in business knowledge or street smarts or social responsibility, something my choice. How important is increasing my common sense to me? Increasing my common sense in street smarts and social responsibility would be very great. In general, I don't think I have a lot of common sense. I've always heard it's sort of like a colloquialism where I'm from, you either have street smarts or head smarts, but you can't have both. And I was definitely one of those people that their head's always in a book, so I wound up with the book smarts when it came to dealing with people, talking with people. Even like we're doing right now, it took me a long time to feel comfortable talking like this,
Okay.
especially with two cameras in front of me. Increased common sense, and I think social conversations is one that I definitely need, especially since we're talking about business. When I step up to be either a CIO or COO or just maybe a step down and I'm a director of something, or I'm getting close to that level where I'm dealing with the executives. I've seen the way that they talk with each other. They're almost like best friends who will yell at each other at the drop of a hat, from what I've seen anyway. And to do that, you really have to be able to read people and understand people and talk to people and get them to want to talk to you, which is something that amazes me when I talk to some of them too. Because they make me want to keep talking. They make me want to stay there and be with them and hang out with them. They're very charismatic and friendly and inviting. If I could have more of that in my life, that'd be great.
All right. Good. Last one.
All right, let's do it. Hope it's a good one. This is a fun one. What am I creating with my life efforts? Order, a future, and a path. I think those are the three things I'm trying to create.
Order,
future,
and a path.
Okay. And I'll explain that as best as I can. Order out of chaos, again, what I came back to. I'm trying to take things that aren't working quite right, things that are messed up, they're jumbled, they're not making sense, and trying to make them make sense. If not just for one, and not just for myself, for those around me, for the people who come afterwards, which is what the future is about for me. Trying to create a future for my family, something I can leave my children, a path that they could follow to walk in my footsteps if they want to. I'm not going to push them into that. And a future for, like I said, I want to guide the future of technology where it's moving, especially with the way certain things are starting to shift, and we're starting to get on shaky ground with privacy, with what's happened with Facebook and Google recently. And the path, I said that, the path for my son to follow, for other people to follow in the future, a path for technology to follow.
Do you feel that the CFO route is also something that you want to lead? You want to reach this title so that with this company that you are at the top of, you could either pass it down to your son, your children, or in addition to that, I won't say or, but in addition to that, that also leaves the impression in your children's mind that, hey, I can reach any level that I want to, because look, my role model, the person who I see every day, my father for that matter, he is at that position. Is it a combination, or is one way higher than the other?
It's definitely a combination. The goal of reaching that, and what I keep talking about guiding the future, that's more of a selfish reason that I'm doing it. It's because I want to. Because I want to be the one who makes that decision. I want to be the person who gets it right and people are happy about, and well, the newspapers will talk bad about anybody, anyway. Or maybe I'm the person who messes everything up. But either way, I'm the one who stood out there and said, no, let me do this. I got this. Don't worry about it. I'll take us where we need to go. That's what I want to do. That's where I want to be. And in doing that, but the company that I would hope to keep at that point in my life, where I'd be working directly with executive level people of multiple companies, in theory, my children and my family would get to mix in and make a lot of friends with people who are, statistically speaking, probably not going to have too much to worry about in their lives. Create that path for my family to follow.
So it's definitely strategy. There's definitely strategy there. In addition to being a change agent and wanting to do something within that field, within that genre, to say, hey, I want to be disruptive in this area of technology because I feel that I need some more innovation. And I'm that person who can bring it forth. Good, man, good. Listen, what I've gravitated towards today is a lot of, and I've been repeating this, but it still comes back to mindset. Okay, what is your mindset? Whether it be achieving your educational goals have what end result on a 5-year, 10-year, 20-year plan. Okay, sometimes for some, they could map it all out up here and without writing anything down and go for it. Wonderful. Everybody's design doesn't work like that. For some, they need to see it. And for many who believe that it's all up here and never written out, that might be a reason why you're not actually advancing yourself, because it's too much going on up here and not enough here to see these things. So take some pointers, write some things down, see your goals, ask yourself some critical questions to that nature. Alex, I want to say thank you today. Before we close out, what could you leave the audience with? What could you leave as a final message that you just want to put out there?
Be informed. Know what you're clicking accept to. Know what you're signing, and know what people are trying to sell you.
All right. That I'll let you digest that. Thanks again, Alex.
Thank you.
Okay. Everybody take this time right now to definitely like this channel. We want to say thank you. Leave some comments. We want to hear from you. Alex wants to hear from you. I want to hear from you. Leave some comments. Ask some questions, okay? Stay tuned. We have more in store for you in our next episodes. We're concluding today. But again, great job. Thank you for your support. Signing off.